It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. The show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards is The Outer Realm, and that's in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a popular show hosted by Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, which has millions of listeners each week. They are well known for their laid-back, roundtable style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, cryptozoology, folklore, and anything else that would be deemed outside the realm of normal. Michelle is an international public figure who has spent the last 2 decades working in the international paranormal community in research and media. Amelia is a remote viewing medium with 10 years of working with missing children, as well as cold and active murder cases. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate The Outer Realm in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. That's podcastawards.com. It's super easy. So just please take a moment and get out and go vote.
Welcome to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live here on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing folks over at Folgers Coffee, who have been a part of our journey since the very beginning. So huge thank you to Folgers. Amelia and I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you. Also, huge thank you to our other sponsor, Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, aka Justin Snicker, for that amazing intro and outro that you hear. And each and every night, we don't always get to play the outro. We sometimes run out of time, but we're so grateful. And you can find him on places like Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and check him out. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween horror, sci-fi, and darkwave electronic music, and it is just amazing. Okay, we're going to do it again in the news. Podcastawards.com. You'll notice that we have put, I did this last night. I went in and put all kinds of posts up, on the personal page, on the Outer Realm, anywhere that we can. And the link is in the comment section. So nice and easy. Please go out and vote, whether you vote for us or anybody else. At least it's there. Hopefully you'll vote for us. And we love and appreciate you. And thank you for doing so. Also, don't forget, guys, Folgers. We want the Folgers commercials. We really are serious about that. We've got some new ones coming up. And I think they're a lot of fun. Great advertising for everybody, any way you look at it. So come on, do it. Tonight, we are welcoming back Micah T. Dank, and he's going to be discussing astrology in the Quran this time. If you guys remember, he's been on the show. He's, showed us all the astrology and the hidden meanings in the Bible and the book of Enoch. And tonight, he's going to be tackling the Quran, which I thought was really interesting. Of course, in order to tune in to all of this and be a part of the show and get into the chat rooms, you're going to have to go into UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials, UFO Paranormal Radio, United Public Radio, Outer Realm, of course, on YouTube. And on Facebook, we've got UFO Paranormal United Public Radio, Outer Realm, Canada's Most Haunted News on the Flip Side, and Joe Montaldo, UFO Undercover. There's a chat room in each of these locations, and we get to see it all. And I see that Wayne and Lisa are chiming in. So, hey.
I miss that. Hi. I don't have, it hasn't reached the bottom for me.
It's weird. Oh, Okay, yeah, there's the two. There's the two
Yeah,
there.
I can't see crap. That happens sometimes with StreamYard. As far as I know, Micah's doing a bit of a presentation, right?
Yes, he's
Okay,
going to be
then
doing it.
if you're listening to us, you might want to watch.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
He does do presentations, and he's going to be doing it from his end, but he also, pretty much reads through everything that is there. So always never quite the same than when you're watching, but we always try to make sure, even when we get questions in the chat, that it's read out to you guys. So
Yeah.
for those who are only on audio, it helps you to keep up. So
I'm having so much fun with my earbuds today. Seriously, my earbuds, my chair. It's just really
the kind of day I've had.
Yeah, it's been a crazy, crazy day. But one of my favorite stores is having an anniversary sale. So I literally bought 6 dresses.
Yeah. That's kind of just like a
sales.
pacification purchase.
But the sales are so amazing. So amazing. And I purged my people who follow me know I have a shoe thing a little bit. And I purged my shoe closet yesterday, and I will be donating literally 3 garbage bags full of stilettos. I don't know who's going to work, but I do this once a year. And I was so happy. And I said to John, look, I cleared out the closet. Sabrina helped me. Only took 3 days. Because some shoes, I didn't even know I bought them. But anyways, and Sabrina goes, yeah, because you always tell me, because I literally have a shoe closet that's like size of a small room. So anyways, what I didn't realize through all my pride was that another pair arrived today and pair last week. And I was just like, when did I buy these?
I need an intervention.
But the ones that came today are so
everywhere, and I donated loads and loads and loads.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like I had shoes that went back from my modeling days in the 80s.
No, I haven't kept anything that long.
And I just couldn't part with them. And I'm like,
no, it's not
the love
easy.
Of all that is holy.
You know what makes it,
get rid of them.
You know what makes it easier for me is I bring them to a women's shelter. And then I feel good about it, but I can't bring platforms and stilettos because that's not what they want. No. So I'll bring the other shoes there, and then the platform.
You could take them to Habitat for Humanity now, too.
They don't want the stilettos. They want to be able to move on. They'll just take a few.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, they look for more like stuff that is it's more traditional for work. You can't exactly wear 6-inch heels if you're working in an office. It's going to be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If you're working in a bar, it'll work.
For sure.
Or in service, like hotel or restaurant industry. But my shoes are really nice.
Right.
And they often end up in that bag without me having worn them.
Right.
That's how bad it is. But that's what I do. And I encourage other people to do it. And I do it with clothing as well. Right.
Absolutely. Always got to do the closet purge. And with that being said, our guest has just popped in as we shoe talk. Got any shoes,
Hi, Micah. How are you?
Hi, ladies.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
We're okay. Just talking about sympathy buying and shoe purging. And it's like, always good.
Nordstrom's is having their big anniversary sale in case your wife needs anything.
He's like, no, she doesn't. Stop it.
I did some damage there. But anyways.
So how are you?
I'm very good.
Good.
Can't complain.
Right. No point.
I'm looking forward to tonight. Yes. I literally know nothing about the Quran. So for me, this is going to be like class. And I'm going to thank you ahead of time because it's going to be amazing.
Well, what I'd like to do for anybody who may have, if anybody missed the first 2 segments, shame on you. Get to the archives and have a look-see because Micah did the Bible, he did the book of Enoch. But what I wanted to just touch on before getting started was you're showing us, and you've made this a career to show how astrology is buried in a lot of these ancient texts and everyday life. Mm-hmm. just touch on so people understand why would they have done that? Why would you not just come right out and say, hey, why is it just seems all so confusing, hidden in plain sight, but with no way of really deciphering it?
Because it's not for everybody. That's the thing. It's hidden truth. That's what it is. Like the master doesn't come out no matter what field you're in and say, this is the truth. This is what you have to do. They embed it in esoteric. And they bury it deep. And, for all that I do, the Bible is still made up of 7 sciences. I only talk about one of them.
Right.
It just happens to be the oldest and the most prevalent, but that's basically it.
Right. Okay, and tonight you're presenting us with astrology basically in the Quran.
Correct.
Okay, so
very cool.
The stage is yours. You're going to do this presentation, so we're going to put this up and let you go crazy. Time to educate the masses, and there's lots of them tonight. There we go.
Okay, so let me know when you see this.
Okay, I see it. I'll put it up. Bam, there we go. I love it.
I love it.
Oh, see, you have it spelt like this, and I've seen it spelt like this. What's the proper way? Let's just get this.
Q.
It is
no,
a Q?
I don't know if that. No. I've seen it with the Q as well.
Yeah, which way should we put it on? Do you want me to write it?
it's just it doesn't matter, to be honest.
Okay,
with you.
okay. I just want to be sure because I don't want to contradict what you have.
Yeah, one is an anglicized version, one is a Islamic version.
Okay, excellent. Well, this way they can see both versions. Okay, we'll let you take it.
Okay, so I start by saying, employ your time in improving yourself by other men's writings, so that you shall come easily by what others have labored hard for. That was Socrates thousands of years ago. And it makes sense. I've been studying the Bible. I've been studying for 30 years. I've been studying esoteric sciences and the occult for 20. I've been studying astrotheology for going on 11 years now, and I've been teaching it for about 2.25. So you have to understand is that the Bible and the Quran, for example, these ancient holy texts, the scriptures are metaphysical, astrological, which I touch on, anatomical, alchemical, spiritual, esoteric, and mythology. These holy writings, okay, they're not literal, they're not historical, they're not reality, and they're not original. They all go back. Now, what I have to do is I have to go through the 12 signs of the zodiac with everybody, which I do at the beginning of all my presentations, just to give you the keywords and everything. So the first one I talk about is Aquarius, which is represented by the man.
Right.
It's the story of Zeus and Aquarius. I've talked about it before, but basically Zeus takes a young boy to heaven to serve him and the gods. The boy gets fed up with it, pours the water or the ambrosia from the edge of heaven, like in this picture, out. It causes a flood on earth. That's where the Greeks get their flood story from. And then Zeus ends up mad at the boy, but then realizing that he made a bargain with his father to bring him up, and he's kind of just he kind of just overstepped his boundaries. So instead of punishing him, he just immortalized him as the constellation Aquarius. So there's words that relate to Aquarius, like son of man, because this is the sign of the man, whereas Virgo is the sign of the woman. Baptism, because this is how you baptize someone. Right. Water pitcher, because this is a water pitcher. Fountain, because a lot of fountains are shaped like this. Stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea. Watery things, because Aquarius is actually an air sign in astrology. But because there's water in the sign, when they're talking about water bodies, they're talking about Aquarius. And the same thing goes for Pisces, which is a mutable water sign. It's the 2 fish in the water. Pisces is actually a water sign. So whenever you're talking about stream, river, pond, lake, sea, ocean, the water bodies, you're talking about Pisces. And you can differentiate if they're talking about Aquarius or Pisces depending on what kind of patterns it makes in the zodiac. Aries is the ram. And in Aries, you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's a 12-hour day, a 12-hour night. It's also the Passover, or the passing over of the sun over the equator and back on its way to its height in the summer solstice. Now, in Christianity, the passing over is changed, and it's called the resurrection of God's son. Okay? Now, in Judaism, the Passover is when the sun, the angel of death, passes over all the households in Egypt, and anyone that doesn't have the lamb or the ram's blood, Aries being the ram, the Jews are the people of Aries. That's how they identify themselves. They smeared the ram's blood on, or the lamb's blood on their doorpost. That's how they identified themselves. It wasn't just an occult practice. That's how they identified themselves. So, and anyone that did that, their firstborn sons were spared. Everybody else that didn't, their firstborn sons were killed.
Yeah.
So whenever you hear ram, lamb, shepherd, or ram's horn, they're talking about Aries. Then Taurus is the bull. And when you look at the sky and you see Taurus during the season where it's supposed to be, you know that you need to put the plow on the bull so that you can plant the seeds so you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. So whenever you hear bull, ox, calf, or cow being the female bull, okay, you're talking about Taurus. Then Gemini is the story of, it's the twins. It's the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy. This is the story of Achilles. This is a Greek story also. Whenever you hear twins or brothers, they're talking about Gemini. And Cancer.
Nathaniel.
Yeah, did you see Nathaniel's comment?
I love Micah.
Aw.
I know. I love you guys too. Well, thank you, Nathaniel.
Yeah, thanks,
I love you
Nathaniel.
back. Sorry, I wanted you to see that. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So Cancer the crab, it's the sideways moving creature. So just what the sun does this is what the pattern of what the sun does every single year. Starting on December 25th, it'll rise a degree on its axis. Then the following day, it'll rise an additional. Then the next day, an additional. And it does this every single day, an additional degree till it hits June 21st. That's the summer solstice. When it's at the summer solstice, it's at its height. Okay. It's as high as it's going to go. Okay. That's right there. That's the, it's as high as it's going to go. Then what it does is just like the crab that walks sideways, the sun walks sideways for 3 days. It doesn't rise another degree. It doesn't lower a degree. It stays at that degree for 3 days, hence walking sideways. Then what happens is it lowers a degree on the 25th, and then every consecutive day it lowers an additional degree. Then what happens is on December 21st, okay, the last day of Sagittarius, it's the winter solstice. The sun wouldn't climb above the horizon. So the ancients used to look at it and say God's sun was dead. And like it walked sideways for 3 days in June, it's going to walk sideways for 3 days in December too. That's why God's sun was dead for 3 days. Whereas on December 25th, it rises a degree. It starts the year, technically, of the sun on December 25th. That's why all the ancient gods are born on December 25th, okay? Because they're all solar deities, but that's why. Right. So whenever you hear, now in the ancient Egyptian time, the crab was known as the scarab. Right. Okay, the beetle. That's why St. Augustine has been known to he called Jesus the good beetle. Right. Okay. So whenever you hear crab or beetle, you're talking about Cancer. Then Leo is the king, the lion, the king of the jungle. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So whenever you hear lion, lioness, or cub, you're talking about Leo. Virgo is the woman holding the wheat stalk. Remember before when we said that you plant in Taurus? Well, the virgins would cultivate the wheat in Virgo in order to make the bread for the year. So whenever you hear virgin or girl or woman, you're talking about Virgo. Whenever you're talking about wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn, you're talking about Virgo. Okay. Now, barley is used to make the beer. So when they refer to the beer as the drink, they're talking about Virgo. Whereas the wine is the other drink. It's always the beer or the wine. Well, the wine happens at the next sign over, Libra. Libra is the justice. It's the scales. It's the balance. It's the just one. The reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. See, what happens in the spring is you have the Passover because it's crossing over and it's on its way to its height. So it's being celebrated, but here it's being mourned because it's being sentenced to death. It's being judged in Libra. Okay, so Libra is also wine season, which is when you plant for the grapes in Taurus, you could press the wine here. So whenever you hear all law-related things like law, judge, justice, the just one, divorce, marriage, court, lawyer, for example, that's Libra. Wine, vineyard, wine press, grapes, juice. Because usually when they're talking about juice, they're usually talking about grape juice. That's Libra too. Libra is also olive and oil season. Okay, that's when you press the olives to make the olive oil. That's in Libra. So all law stuff, all wine stuff, all olive stuff. Incidentally, frankincense and myrrh are both olive plants too. So when we get to the point in the New Testament where the three wise men, they find Jesus in the manger and they bring him frankincense and myrrh, they're trying to tell you that they're in the part of Libra. Okay, which I'm going to get to when I get to the New Testament. I'm actually currently going through the Bible book by book and doing a presentation on every single book. So there's 66 of them. There's 66 of them. So that's going to be my latest thing because I'm basically running out of things to do.
Wow.
Because I've done so many presentations.
Right.
Yeah.
In so many
Yeah.
you know, with all this information. So that's basically that. So now Scorpio is the
Right.
scorpion, and he is known as the betrayer in this fantastical story. When a scorpion bites you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like a pair of lips. It's why the mafia has the kiss of death, and it's why Jesus was betrayed by Judas with a kiss. See, each one of the disciples, right? The 12 disciples each represent one of the zodiac signs. So Judas would be Scorpio because he's the betrayer, whereas the man with the water pitcher would be John the Baptist. Make sense?
Yeah, of course, baptism.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So the sun is judged in Libra, it's betrayed in Scorpio, and then finally in Sagittarius. This is where the bow and the arrow shoot the sun and inflict further punishment on the sun. This is where the bow and the arrow kills the sun. Why? And we went over it because it has December 21st. So Sagittarius keywords are horse, bow and arrow, quiver, spear, horseman, even death. When they talk about death, the death in the zodiac cycle happens in Sagittarius. Then finally, you have Capricorn, who's the goat because he likes to climb the mountain. So I have the zodiac wheel on the right. If you look at it, this is how a zodiac wheel should look. Cancer's on the top and Capricorn's at the bottom. At the bottom of Capricorn, if you put a little sun and then you climb it a degree along the axis of the zodiac wheel every single day, going to the left, rising to Cancer to June 21st, it starts to climb in Capricorn, just like the goat climbs the mountain. So whenever you hear kid or goat, you're talking about Capricorn. And those are the 12 signs. I've gone over it in the past before.
Yeah.
Are there any other comments in the chat that you want to get to before I start getting into this?
This one's for you. There you go. Nathaniel said he's a beast. There we go.
I'm going to need this person to reach out to me on social media.
Nathaniel? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's got his own show now.
That's it.
Yeah.
Nathaniel, reach out to Micah.
Yeah.
I think you both have the same agent. So there you go.
No.
Seriously.
No.
Not anymore? No.
No.
Not anymore.
Long
Okay.
story.
Okay. Anyway, so let's just start. So Cyril
Let's do
1,
it.
the opener of the book, the day of judgment 1, he is the sovereign. So the day of judgment is December 21st in Sagittarius, which is when the sun is fully executed on the judgment provided during Libra, the scales, the justice, the just one. Zora 2, the cow. Remember, this is called the cow. When they are told, you on earth do not sow wickedness, they answer, on the contrary, we only sow good here. Well, sowing, if you take it literally, takes place during Taurus, which is when you plant the seeds.
Mm,
That happens to be Taurus, and the cow is the female bull.
right.
Okay, so that's why this one is called the cow, because you could tell that they mean the same thing.
Right.
22. He raised up the heavens as a covering and poured out water abundantly from heaven to grow fruit for your food. Well, who pours out water from the heaven? Well, that's Aquarius, the man with the water pitcher pouring it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as you can see how we start right now, this is basically the same stuff that I've already taught you two lovely ladies before. This is just in a different text.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they are waiting for gardens washed by rivers, and whenever they will be served fruits from there. So the rivers are Pisces, the river with the fish in them, and they will be served fruits in Libra when the fruits are harvested. Now, I talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it now. I'm going to use the zodiac picture. Okay, do you see the dividing lines between the signs?
Yes.
That's known as the firmament. See, people think that the firmament is a flat, is a dome over a flat earth that we can't leave. And that's just not the case. It's a mistranslation. See, the firmament, what it is it's a dividing line between the signs. Now, it doesn't exist. It only exists in the zodiac to show what it is. But what the dividing lines are a 3-day period when one sign hands over the energy to another. Some people call them cusps. You might say I'm a cusp. Some
Right.
people call them handover dates.
Right.
That's what it is. During that 3-day period, if you're a Taurus, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you've got Aries energy in you. If you're a cusp Taurus Aries, okay, it's
Right.
just how it works. Okay,
Right.
so
Yeah.
that's what the firmament is. Okay, so now that I've gone into that, I went here. The rivers are Pisces. The rivers with the fish, the fruit are Libra. Okay, now what you do is if you go to the firmament, this is slide 19. Okay, if you go to the firmament of Pisces and Aries, right there,
Mm-hmm.
because you're at the firmament and they blend into each other, I can use it to talk about sheep and rams, a shepherd for Aries, for example, or I could talk about fish in Pisces. Okay. When you're in one sign, you can only talk about the words that key into that one sign. But when you're at the firmament, you're in between both. You could talk about both. Now, the firmament between Pisces and Aries, if you go across the zodiac to its cross sign, it touches Libra. So there's ways to bend the zodiac in order to make patterns like opposite signs and neighboring signs. Okay. Then he proceeded to the heavens, and in them he built 7 celestial vaults. Okay. This is important too, because at the time that the Quran was written, okay, they only knew about 7 planets at the time.
Right.
Whereas we know that there's 9. I still consider Pluto a planet, honestly, because when you start to go into astrological readings and everything, Pluto has major implications to your personality.
Right.
That's not what I do. You know, I have an astrologer that does that, but I know that's just the same. So the 7 vaults are the 7 planets they knew about at the time they were in the heavens. Those are the celestial vaults. You in his absence too, the Taurus for veneration. You have taken a calf for veneration. This is talking about the bull and Taurus. Right. In case you didn't think that Taurus meant Taurus, he's talking about a calf right after that. Okay, they're basically connecting passages in the Quran. They're 3 apart. Okay, so it's just a pattern that you see. They're talking about Taurus and a calf, so they are talking about Taurus. Hold fast to what was entrusted to you and follow obedient this law. And they answered, we hear, but we do not obey him. Out of their unbelief, they poured out into their hearts a perverse affection for the calf. So the law is Libra, the law and judgment. They poured their hearts the affection for the calf. The calf is the bull. They were worshiping the sun in Taurus again. However, this was the age of Pisces. Right. Okay, so this was wrong. There's plenty of mentions in the Bible too, where they talk about venerating the wrong the wrong sign. Okay, right. Moses goes to the top of the mountain to get the 10 Commandments, and when he comes down, they're worshiping a golden calf. Well, the gold is the sun, and the calf is Taurus. They were worshiping the wrong time period. In fact, nowadays, to rebuild the 3rd temple in Israel, it has to be preceded by the slaughter of a perfect red heifer. Well, a heifer's a cow. That's Taurus. So that's what they're trying to do. They're always trying to bring it back to Taurus worship.
Yeah, because they're in Aquarius now, aren't they?
We're in Aquarius now, which is the sign of the man.
Right.
Makes sense, because in the age of Pisces, you had the 2 fish. That's why Jesus fed the masses with 2 fish. That's why it was called the fishermen of men.
Even the cap that the Pope would wear, looked like the mouth of a fish. Yeah,
it's called a mitre. It goes back to Mithra worship, or Dagon worship, which was fish worship. They were fish gods that were competing religions at the time, by the way.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. And the bull, you do see how they periodically kept going back to the bull worship.
Right. You see that too in Spain with the running of the bulls.
Still,
you know, it's as above, so below.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. No. Exactly. It's funny. I wonder what it is about that specific that they keep wanting to bounce back to. Well,
I do a thing where it's as above, so below. So you have, for example, like mermaids. Mermaids are a combination of men or women and fish.
Right.
Now the man and the fish are connecting signs, Aquarius and Pisces.
Right.
The fish and the woman, Pisces and Virgo, those are opposing signs.
Oh boy, yes.
So those are making patterns. You have bull riding, you've got, which is man, Aquarius, and Taurus.
Right.
You've got jousting, which is 2 Sagittarius, 2 men on a horse with a spear.
Right.
You've got lion taming, the man and the lion, Aquarius and Leo. Those are opposing signs. See, it's as above, so below. We're just mimicking what the heavens are.
Right.
So those who do not know say, why has not the Lord turned the word to us? And why will he not show us a sign from heaven? Similar words were spoken by those who came before them. Their hearts are alike. We interpret the signs for those who are committed to the faith with all their soul. So they're looking for a sign in heaven. They're literally talking about God showing them a sign or interpreting for them. They interpret the signs for all those who are committed to faith. So they're telling you other people understanding this and explaining it other than you.
Right.
Okay? Because when you interpret the signs of the zodiac, that's what they're called. They're called signs. They're called mansions. They're called eons. They're called eras. They're called houses. There's different words for all of them, but that's what they're talking about.
Right.
So verily in the creation of the heavens and the firmament, and in charge, and in the change darkness of the night light of the day, and in the ships crossing the seas according to the needs of man, in the rain that Allah pours from heaven, and the earth that has fallen from death lives on. In the living creatures that he scattered over the earth, in motion and change of winds, that clouds between heaven and earth as they drive their servants. Truly here are hidden signs for those who understand. The hidden sign. Well, what are the hidden signs? Well, the heavens are the zodiac. What are the living creatures that they're talking about? Well, the fish in Pisces, the lamb and the ram in Aries, the bull is Taurus, the crab is Cancer, the lion is Leo, the scorpion is a belly-crawling creature, scorpion, and the horse is Sagittarius. These are the signs that they constantly mention. Now, there's hundreds and thousands and even millions of other animals besides these ones, but no, it's these specific ones that they keep using, and they happen to be the signs of the zodiac.
Right. That's interesting.
Okay. On the day of the Lord's judgment, he sent the book of truth with them, so that people judge among themselves all that diverge their passions, when clear signs appeared to them. The judgment day is December 21st. That's the day the sun dies. The Quran was sent for people to judge, Libra, amongst themselves when clear signs appeared to them. So when you look at this through an astrological lens, when they always say, like Jesus always says, verily, here are my signs that you don't understand, or things of that nature, it's the same stuff. Like if you read it through an astrological thing, you could see what they're talking about.
Right.
When clear signs appeared to them, or for other examples. So, but if you are in danger, pray on foot, or do not dismount from your horse. When the danger has passed you, you call on the Lord with praise, how he taught you and how until then you did not know. Well, the horse is Sagittarius, the man on the horse. Okay, so that's basically what they're talking about. Now, and those who are on the path of the Lord spend from their good to that single grain are like who gave birth to 7 years. The grain is Virgo, with the wheat stalk, grain the Virgo, the sign of the woman who metaphorically gave birth to the 7 planets, since all birthing comes from women. It's another metaphor for a virgin birth, and one for the 7 planets in heaven. We're going to get to the Virgin Mary a little bit later.
Okay.
And whoever wants to own a beautiful garden of date palms and vines, remember vines are grapes, which is washed by abundant streams, where for his pleasure all kinds of fruits, while old age befalls him, and the children are weak, so that a fiery whirlwind falls on the garden and swallows it to ashes. So the Lord explains his signs to you so that you can understand. I mean, they're basically begging for you to understand it this way. The vines are vineyards in Libra, and the streams are the streams in the water sign Pisces and Aquarius. God explains these 12 signs to you so that you can understand, so you can decode this. Now, again, the firmament of Pisces and Aries touches the firmament of Libra and Virgo. So they are opposing signs. Okay, Surah 3, the Imran family. He is the one who sent down the book to you. Some ayats in it bear an open meaning, revealing by himself, as it were, the mother of the book. Others are hidden in their interpretation, but those whose heart is on the earth in sins, desiring confusion, follow what meets their pleasure, seeking out the hidden meaning, which is known only to Allah and is revealed only to those who possess deep knowledge. We believe in the holy book, they say, where all ayats are revealed from God, and he whose mind is bright can embrace its message. So they're talking about there's a deeper interpretation with the Quran and to seek out the hidden meaning. Like they're begging you to look into this. They're begging you to understand this. Okay. So, and how beautifully all the people see the love of earthly passions. Here are women's and sons, and there are mountains of silver and gold, and marked horses, there's the horse, herds of cattle, there's the cattle, and the plowed field. So the women are Virgo, the sign of the woman. The sons are the man sign in Aquarius. Those are opposing signs at the firmament. Now the horses are Sagittarius, and the cattle is Taurus. A plowed field is also Taurus as well. You see how in 2 lines they're talking about a bunch of different signs. Right. But, and I just want to make this clear because I've done a couple with you. I've done a couple with you ladies, and it's always fun to come on. I just wanted to make it clear that I am using a simple cipher, and I'm not varying from it. I'm not using anything called apologetics or any type of interpretation from any great imam.
Mhm.
to decode this, to understand this.
Right.
There's things in when you're reading the Bible, there's something called apologetics, which basically explains away how there could be a talking donkey or this and that, because you remember everything has to be taken literal. So they
Yes.
have to try and explain it to be literal.
Right.
Okay. Whereas what I'm doing is using one simple cipher, and I've decoded dozens and dozens of books. So, but among them, there are those who are not like these. Among the people of the scripture, there are those who, with patient steadfastness for the truth, stand and surrendering with all their soul to Allah, spends long hours in the night reading his signs. Well, if you know the signs of the zodiac, that's all you really need to know.
Mm.
Verily is the creation of earth and sky, and in the change of night to day. Here are the hidden signs for those who have intelligence. See, they're basically telling you that. See, the hidden signs of the zodiac. Now, I gotta tell you people this is that, or you two ladies, this I have to tell you this is that the sun tells the hour of the day, the moon tells the day of the month. Okay, it also and the zodiac tells the month of the year. Where we're located in the middle of nowhere in the Milky Way galaxy, it's a perfect calendar. It's a perfect calendar for us, and it's made for us. It's a stamp of creation. Okay, it's a fingerprint of God. That's the way I see it. There is no way that a perfect calendar evolves in our local, where we're located, out of random chance. That doesn't happen. Now the Lord heard them, calls, and replied, I will never give to the abyss not a single human deed, whether it is a man or a virgin. Okay, very specific words here. Okay, a man or a virgin. Okay, virgin is Virgo. Okay, and the man sign is Aquarius. Why would they refer to a woman as a virgin? Why wouldn't they say man or woman? Unless they're talking about the sign Virgo.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting how like things are hidden in there, and there would be people who would not want you telling us all this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like this is something that spans the test of time. Like it has stayed hidden only to open to select few.
Right.
And you figured it out. Good for you. Good for us. All right.
So until the day of their resurrection at the judgment, and whenever they light the fire of the war, the Lord will put it out. So the judgment happens in Libra on September 21st. That's this fall equinox. That's why it's the scales, because it's even. Okay? Mm-hmm. It's a straight line. It's even. That's why it's the scales, because it judges. The fire of war comes from the god of war, Mars, who's the ruling planet of Aries. So you have Aries and Libra there. Those are opposing signs.
Right.
Okay, so not only is it the 12 signs, but it's also opposing signs, connecting signs, and then there's also ruling planets. For example, if I were to say the goddess of love, that would be Venus, who's the ruling planet of Libra. Mm-hmm. Surah 6, the cattle. Okay, and among them are those who only pretendingly listen to you. We put a cover on their hearts so that they would not understand it, and we covered their ears with deafness. And even if they see all the signs, they will not believe them. See, they're just talking about the signs again.
Right.
It's just constant mention of it. I mean, it's not even hidden if you know what you're looking for.
It's not hidden, but they're basically still saying that it's for select few, and nobody would believe it anyway. Mm-hmm. Because they take things very literal, but they're not looking at everything that's hidden, like the obvious. You would have to be versed in the zodiac, and I think the pagans in ancient times, many were, but I think by the time a lot of these books came into being, that was just something that died with a lot of ancient cultures or got amalgamated. Mm-hmm.
So he is the one who placed the stars for your needs to show you the way. When darkness falls on land or sea, thus we clarify our signs for those in whom knowledge lives. They're talking about the understanding of the suns in the sky. They're talking about the stars.
Right.
He is the one who brings down water to you from the sky. And with it, we give plants of all kinds to grow. And with it, we grow shoots of cereals. From them, we grew grains, sitting in an ear of a dent side by side. From the date palm, its ovaries, bunches of fruits hanging low, gardens of vines, olives, pomegranates, which in many ways are so similar yet so different from each other. When fruits appeared on them, rejoice in how they are poured and ripened. Truly in this are hidden signs for those who believe in God. So the grains are planted in Taurus. Then April showers bring May flowers. Water from the sky, the grain grows. You reap in Virgo. The gardens of vines and olives. Grapes and olives are pressed in Libra. Okay? Incidentally, reap in Virgo and then pressed in Libra, those are connecting signs. These are the hidden signs you need to know. So we interpret our signs to them in different ways so that they could not say, you from others learn this. And so that the truth we clearly explain for those who have knowledge. So follow what your Lord has revealed to you by suggesting Aya. Take in pairs 8 heads of cattle, 2 from sheep and 2 from goats. Again, it's the same animals, right? It's the same animals. The cattle are the ox and Taurus. The sheep are Aries. Those are connecting signs. The goat is Capricorn. Surah 7, obstacles. And the Libra will be faithful on that day. And those whose cup will be heavy in the delight of paradise dwell. And those whose cup is lightweight, they themselves will doom themselves to destruction because they were lawless in relation to our signs. Okay, so they're talking about Libra. So we know they're talking about Libra, but then there's the mention of the lawless. Remember, all law-related things are Libra: the justice, the scales, the balance, the justice, the scales. So the cup being heavy or light refers to the sins that one has to account for. Lawlessness goes to Libra again, and our signs refer to the signs of the zodiac. Now, say all these blessings of a neighbor's life for those who believed in God with all their souls, and only for them on the day of resurrection at the judgment. Thus we explain our signs for those in whom understanding lives. The signs are the signs in the sky. They tell you when to plant, when to harvest, when winter is coming. They tell you what season it's in. The resurrection comes December 25th, the day the sun is resurrected from the dead from the judgment, which takes place September 21st, which is the fall equinox. This is the explanation for the signs of the times. Before those who consider our signs to be false and glorify them over the gates of heaven will not open, and they will not enter paradise until the camel squeezes through the eye of a needle. So we will reward the wicked. This is also a parable in the Bible.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
where they talk about the camel squeezing through the eye of a needle, which is impossible.
Right.
Okay, however, the camel can't pass through the eye of the needle, but they're talking about the constellation Camelopardalis, which is in Gemini. The light from the star can.
Right.
Okay, so that's what they're talking about. Now, the Camelopardalis, which is in Gemini, is a combination of 2 words. It's camelos, which means camel, pardalis, which means leopard. Okay, the giraffe, its original name was the camel leopard. That's what they used to call it. Which
That's right. That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from.
Mm.
So, and Musa, who's Moses, by the way, threw down his rod, and in front of everyone he turned into a serpent. He stretched out his hands. She flashed whiteness before the eyes of all the beholding. Then the nobles from the people of Pharaoh said, "This is indeed a skilled sorcerer, and he wants to expel you from your land. What is your advice?" They advised, "Delay him and his brother." The summoners went through the cities. Moses and Musa. The serpent is the 13th sign in sidereal astrology, also known as Vedic astrology, Ophiuchus, which sits between Sagittarius and Scorpio. Okay, it's known as the serpent bearer. Ophiuchus is a man holding up a basket with a snake facing Scorpio. Delay him and his brother. So those are the brothers. That's Gemini. Gemini and Ophiuchus are opposing signs in the zodiac. Now, when you're talking about in the Bible, they're talking about a scene where the Israelites revolt against Moses, and then the snakes come out of the ground and bite them, and they're dying, and they say, Moses, can you talk to God and see if we could live? So he does, and God tells him to fashion a snake onto a staff, and all that look at it will live. Well, do you know what that is? It's the rod of Asclepius.
Yes.
Okay. the caduceus. It evolves from the caduceus.
DNA, chakras,
It
everything.
all goes back to the Kundalini, yeah.
Yeah,
It all
why
goes
are the
back to
Catholics so against the Kundalini?
that.
Hmm.
Well, you read Roman Catholic Catechism 2116, and you'll see a bunch of stuff that they're against, astrology included. They're against Eastern practices. They believe in this as the divine word. That's the problem. They believe it as the divine word. They don't believe that it could be metaphorically talking about things that we're only now knowing about.
Okay. Thank you. I've never had the right person that I could ask that question.
So he is the one who made the sun life-giving brilliance, established the moon that lights pores and phase so that you know the number of the years. Creating of the sun and the moon tells the time. Incidentally, on a little bit of a side note, the moon also controls a woman's cycle. Okay?
Yeah.
There's 13 months of 28-day cycles. The moon controls the tide of the ocean. We're made up of 75 to 90% water. It's insane to think that the moon doesn't control. Okay, now Walter Russell talks about everything being electromagnetic. Everything is either electric or magnet. Electromagnetism. Electric radiates and magnetism brings in. Okay? Electric is the sun, whereas the moon is electric is the sun, whereas magnetism is the moon. This is why when you're having tantric sex with someone, okay, the sun being masculine, okay, it's electric. That's why a male orgasm feels like a jolt of electricity going through your body, whereas a woman whose magnetism, who receives the waves of the ocean, she can have multiple orgasms and she rides them like waves. Okay, it's as above, so below. So he is the one who created the night so that you can rest, and the day to let you see. Indeed, here are the hidden signs for those in whom the desire to hear. See, they're basically telling you, just like, understand this. Okay, it's the same as the Bible. Jesus says, for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. Say, look around. Everything in heaven on earth, and neither the signs nor those who carry the message can be useful to people who are stubbornly unfaithful. So the signs in the sky are not useful for people who do not recognize them. So Surah 12, Yusuf. And 2 young men entered the dungeon with him. One of them said, in a dream I saw that I was squeezing wine from grapes. And another said, I saw that I was carrying bread on my head, and the birds peck at it. Tell me the meaning of these dreams. After all, we see that you are one of those who act according to the knowledge and kindness. This is Joseph. Joseph was run out of his family, and he ends up becoming a dream interpreter in Egypt.
That's right.
Okay, right? Okay, so this is literally pulled from the Bible. Okay, so this is what they're talking about. But notice what they did. One dream was wine, and one dream was bread. Okay, so the wine is Libra and the bread is Virgo. Those are connecting signs. Could the dreams have been about anything else? You know what I mean? It's like they make continuous patterns here. And the king said, truly in a dream I saw 7 well-fed cows, which 7 thin cows eat, and also 7 green ears, and 7 others reaped. The cow or the female bull, which is Taurus, and the corn is Virgo. Corn is typically harvested in September. Surah 15, Al-Hijr. Verily, here are the hidden signs for those who seek to recognize the meaning of our signs. I just keep mentioning these passages because there's just so many of them where they're like, verily, here are the signs. Surah 16 B's. He created cattle for you. It contains both warmth and every other benefit, and from it you will be flesh for food. He created horses for you, mules, and donkeys for journey, and for magnificent ceremonies, and he creates for you much of that which you hitherto unknown. The cattle is Taurus, and the horse is Sagittarius. The donkey is a constellation called Acellus Borealis, and the donkey is located in Cancer. Okay, so now it's important to mention this too. Cancer, what's in Cancer? So not only do they mention 3 different signs here, but look at this. The horse in Sagittarius, that has the winter solstice in it. Okay, there's 4 major points on the zodiac wheel that form a cross. It's the solstices and the equinoxes. They form
Right.
a cross. That's known as God's cross, the sun. The sun's cross. The son of God's cross. So Sagittarius is the winter solstice. Cancer is the summer solstice. So 2 of the 4 major points and 3 signs are in this one surah. He used it to grow cereals, olives, palms, vines, and many other fruits for your food. Indeed, there is a sign here for those who give themselves up to meditation. He subdued you night and day, and the sun and moon, and by his will he put the star in service of you. Indeed, there is a sign here for those who have intelligence. So the olives and the vines are Libra. That's the sign. Then talks about the sun and the moon and the star in service. The star in service is Polaris, the North Star. These are the signs for those who have intelligence.
And you know what I find with the Quran, like with you doing this, which makes it different than what you were showing us in the Bible text or even the book of Enoch, is in this book, they're telling you if the signs are there for those who understand. Like they're pretty much coming out and telling you it's there if you can figure
Jesus
it out.
Hold on a second. Jesus does the same thing too in the New Testament. He always says things like, take your daily bread, and then the disciples are talking about how, we should bring bread because we're going to be hungry. And then Jesus comes back and he's like, you fools, why don't you know that I am not talking about bread?
Right.
And then people are just super confused about it. Well, the bread is Virgo.
Yeah, but if you don't know that, you know what I mean? Like you deciphered this. So we know this because you're teaching us basically. But in here it's saying the signs are there.
Right.
If you, for those who understand. So you're reading this and you're kind of going, okay, so what am I missing for those, I just find it's very repetitive. I think more so in this.
Well, they're making different patterns. They're using different stars.
Yeah.
They're doing that, but it's basically a way to encode the heavens.
Right.
So Surah 18, the cave. Musa said to his servant, I will not retreat until I reach the place of the confluence of the 2 seas. At least I have to go years. When they reached the confluence of the 2 seas, they completely forgot about their fish, which directed its way straight to the sea in a wonderful way. So this is talking about the confluence of 2 seas. Right. Well, the 2 water signs, as I mentioned, and water's in quotations because Aquarius is not a water sign, but because there's water in it, it is technically used to decode as water.
Right.
The 2 water signs of Aquarius and Pisces. So he's talking about the border between them. When they got there, they forgot about their fish. So now we know they're not talking about Pisces anymore, but about Aquarius only. So there's ways that they tell you what sign they're talking about.
Interesting.
Surah 19, Maryam. And now when Yahya was born, may there be peace to him on the day he was born, on the day he dies, and on the day he will rise to life again. How can I have a baby, she said, when no man touched me and I was not dissolute? She came to her people carrying the baby son in her arms. They said, O Maryam, you have done an unheard of deed. Yahya is Yeshua or Jesus. Maryam is his mother, Mary. The day he was born was December 25th, where the sun is born again. The day he dies is December 21st, the winter solstice, and the day he rises to life again is December 25th. That makes sense with astrotheology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 78, also Daud and his son Solomon, that's David and Solomon, when they gave judgment on the field, which was harmed by the stray sheep belonging to a family from their community, and we ourselves were present at the trial. Well, the judgment is Libra, the scales of justice. The sheep is Aries, the ram, the lamb. Libra and Aries are opposing signs. And the one that kept the virgin flesh, and we breathed into her from our spirit and made her and her son a sign for all the worlds, for all worlds. Virgin is Virgo, the sign of the woman. The sign of the sun is Aquarius, the son of the boy, man. They are signs for the world, and at their firmaments they are also connecting, opposing signs. My apologies.
It's okay.
Surah 28, the story. When he came to the drinking place of Madian, he found a crowd of people there who their flocks watered. And apart from them, he saw 2 girls who drive aside their cattle. He asked them, what is your business? They answered to him, we cannot water our cattle until all the shepherds leave, and our father is a deep old man. So the 2 girls are Virgo, the sign of the woman. The cattle is Taurus. The shepherds are Aries, the ram. Those are connecting signs. The father is Aquarius, the sign of the man. Aquarius and Virgo at the firmament are opposing signs. Muhammad, here is a figurative parable of paradise which was promised to the faithful. In it are rivers of water that will never be spoiled, and rivers of milk that do not change taste, and rivers of wine to delight those who drink, and rivers of honey that cleared. The rivers of water are Aquarius, Pisces. The rivers of milk are the Milky Way galaxy, whose centers in Sagittarius. The rivers of wine are Libra, when you press the grapes for wine. The rivers of honey are Cancer, where the beehive clusters are. Now, remember I was talking about the 4 points, the solstices and the equinoxes? Okay? The Milky Way galaxy is centers in Sagittarius. That's the winter solstice. The Libra, that's the fall equinox. Okay? The rivers of honey in Cancer, the beehive cluster. Okay? That's the summer solstice. 3 out of the 4 signs in this one surah.
Okay.
Surah 51, the scattering. Indeed, the judgment of retribution will come. As a sign of heaven, the owner of the ways. The sign of heaven of judgment is Libra, the scales, the justice, the judge, the just one. The merciful. He assigned the paths of motion to the sun and the moon and determined their phases. The stars in the sky and the trees on earth bow their heads before him. He set up the height vault of heaven, and by his will he set the scales for measuring good and evil. It's talking about the sun and the moon once more and their phases. The vault of heaven, the scales, is a sign of Libra once again. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I'm a little sick today.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. In the sign of the sky, the owners of the zodiac signs, as a sign of the promised day, judgment. Finally, towards the end, we have open talk about the zodiac and the creator of it all. The first judgment is Libra, but the last judgment is Sagittarius, December 21st, where the sun is finally killed, judged. Surah 95, the fig tree. I swear by the fig tree, the mountains of Jerusalem, the olive tree, Damascus Hill. Is Allah not the best of judges? So the olives are Libra. The judgment is also in Libra. Okay? And the judge, again, law things, is talking about Libra. So that's the Quran, ladies. That's basically all the astrotheology in the Quran. I just wanted to show a couple more things, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not as different as I thought it would be.
No, none of this is. When you break down any book that I ever present to you that you're like, yeah, let's do it, it's the same stuff. It's just sometimes they're different signs and different patterns.
Yeah.
But it's the same kind of stuff.
Very cool. Yeah.
So
I wasn't sure because, like I said, I don't know much about the Quran. So
right.
I've always been interested in learning more about it. I feel that way about all religions, really. But
right.
Thank you. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. So I also have a book series where I go into this deeper. What I've done is I've written a ton of Da Vinci Code type thrillers where the characters discover all this information.
Oh, nice.
I have an open-ended book deal with my publisher. So topics that I talk about in the book series are gematria, etymology, numerology, astronomy, astrology, astrotheology, out-of-body experiences, the Akashic records, symbology, remote viewing, religious secrets, capstones of the pyramids, mystery school channelers, near-death experiences, DMT monitoring, lucid dreaming, acoustic levitation, physics and quantum physics, psychotherapy, psychology, spiritual guides and shared dreaming, and crystal technology, conspiracies that not many people know about, corruption and secret societies. Oh, I didn't put my book. My 7th book just came out too. These are my 6 books.
Congrats.
It's called
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love your covers.
Thank you. I do too. Every time
Beautiful.
Every time they send me one, I'm just floored. This is called Into the Rabbit Hole series. You can get it on Amazon, or if you can get them directly from me on social media. I also have a kid's book. It's called A is for Aries. It's an intro to astrotheology with my astrologer. It's for 6 to 11-year-olds, or 6 to 12-year-olds, or 5 to 12-year-olds. Yeah. It's an intro to it where you basically. So the story behind this is you have Tony and Mara. Okay, they're 2 kids from Long Island. I had to put Long Island.
I was just going to say, did you do the Italian for your wife?
Yeah.
Tony and Mara. Yeah.
So Tony is older than Mara, and Mara asks him questions about the zodiac, and he explains it to her. So it basically goes through the 12 signs, and throughout the year, in the winter it's snowy, and then in the fall you have Halloween, and then there's just a ton of pictures, and It's called A's for Aries. It's good. Now, there's one thing I wanted to bring up to you too. Have you heard of the 72 virgins that everybody keeps constantly saying that these people do everything for it, right?
Yeah.
They'll commit atrocities for it.
Usually associated with terrorists on the news is where I've heard it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, check this out. There's a star called 70 Virginis, which borders Virgo. So that's the 70 virgins. The 71st is Virgo, the virgin. And the 72nd virgin is the virgin that you marry on Earth and have a family with. That's where you get your 72 virgins.
Wow.
It's not exactly a thing in heaven. I mean, it is a thing in heaven, but
it's but not the way we interpret it.
No,
or we're taught to interpret. I should say that.
It's not 72 raisins. It's not 72 virgins. It's literally the stars. And see, what I do here is I add this too. I say my point once again is not that those ancient people told literal stories and we are now smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they told them symbolically and we are now dumb enough to take them literally.
Like our farmers use astrology to plant and harvest.
They did.
Yeah.
They did, because they didn't have calendars. They didn't have weathermen. They didn't have, you know, you hear Game of Thrones, you hear winter is coming. Like, that was a serious thing.
That was so crazy. Yeah.
They had to check their food. They had to make sure they had enough food. They had to not only make sure they had enough food, but they had to make sure it was stored properly. It was going to get them through winter. I mean, you saw that in thousands of years ago in the book when Joseph interprets the dreams for the Pharaoh.
That's right.
You know, because he's like, crap, are we going to have famines? And he interprets it because that's what they had to do.
Yes.
You know, we take for granted watches, smartphones, calendars, weathermen, supermarkets where you can get whatever you want all the time.
Yeah.
You know, we take for granted that. That's not how it was back then.
No, I think that was an eye opener in the pandemic, though. The first 2 weeks, But
paper.
oh, that was a thing in the U.S. though. It wasn't here. We didn't have that issue here.
Ladies, I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick. Can I leave you two?
Yeah, no problem.
Feel free. All right, we'll just pop you out for a minute.
Wow, that was so interesting. I had to mute because the dog was crying.
No, that's okay. It is interesting, actually. There's so many little tidbits when you read it, but it's like he explained when he did the first, couple of books with us. It's just, it wasn't like it's in plain sight, but only if you were educated. Like if you were just a common person, you would not have known because you never would have been taught.
No, I would still need Micah to help me through it, but I'm understanding more because this is his third appearance.
This is his third one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm understanding a lot more in how to read because I don't remember the symbols of astrology except the ones I'm affected by. So,
right.
You don't tend to unless those signs are in your life, you don't really tend to. Not everybody knows what they are and who they are and everything, right? So
no, it's true. And realistically, like I see how he breaks it down.
Yeah.
But why do you think it would be relevant?
I don't know. I know my dad followed the astrology with planting. He always planted right after his birthday. His birthday is a couple days before yours.
Yes.
And the harvest was Libra, the olives, the wine, all of the canning was end of September, October. And then the salumi were in February, and it had to pass so many moons. My dad really followed that. And I mentioned it last time in the Italian culture that they believe that you have to pass so many moons before you can give birth.
Yes.
So I did grow up with that.
Yeah.
That was okay, but we couldn't talk about ghosts. But anyways,
and
it wasn't him. It wasn't him. It was my mom. But and then every time we have Micah on, it just brings back fond memories of hearing my dad tell those stories. Oh, I can't make the wine yet. Like if this moon hasn't passed and I have to wait for this full one. He was very serious and he was an exquisite winemaker. There were companies that were after him for the recipe and how to make his wine. It was just, everybody loved it. I
I wonder, do you think it's because he came from Italy? Like it's just that the ancient, like the
It's
old
very
world
much
mindset?
that they came from a small village, and
Right.
he came
So
from that type of life, which
old world
yeah, very
mentality.
much. Well, he was born in 1930, so yeah.
Right. Did you
So
want to get this?
Tamara, I wanted to add to that a
Absolutely.
little bit.
Well, we have
Let's
to
read it out first.
We have to read it out because we have a lot of more people on audio right now from the FM and such than we do like in the chat. So if you
in Asian countries, zodiac is very important.
I like Micah. He takes over. It's great.
I love it. Go ahead.
Have a night off.
Do everything from marriage of two people, the day the business deals, etc. That's correct. But what I teach is Western astrology. You got to understand too, is not only is it Western astrology, but you have to understand is that the Egyptians, the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Mesopotamians, all of them, the Christians, the Jews, the Muslims, they all live in the northern hemisphere. That's where it all started, in Israel, in that area, in North Africa too. That's above the equator. Okay, so this is the science behind it. Now, when I tell you plow in Taurus, that's only in the northern hemisphere. That's how you have to understand this. Okay, because you have to find its opposing sign to see what it is. Now, in Australia, you plow in Scorpio because they're opposing signs.
That's right.
Okay, so you have to understand that. Now, she's talking about Asian astrology, like Chinese zodiac and things to that nature. That's not what I talk about. I talk about Western stuff.
But it's not just the zodiac that's important to Asian cultures. Numbers and colors are as well.
Right.
It's a balance of the three together. They're very intense with that. But yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of, I don't know if you have worked with this specific book, but it is called the Colburn Bible.
So I bought it.
Me too.
I have not read it yet, but
what's
it's
it
on my
about?
list. I have no idea.
Let me read it just to anybody who's interested, okay? Because I was curious because it has some really like hidden things in there that they've just kept out of everything. So let me go in and I will see if I can get you guys. Okay.
I've never heard of it.
It's a 2-part, 11-book set. I'm reading this from Amazon, people. Okay, just so you know. Okay, the Colburn Bible is a 2-part, 11-book secular anthology. The first 6 books are called The Egyptian Texts and were penned by Egyptian academicians, blah, blah. Okay, following the Hebrew Exodus. The last 5 books are called the Celtic Texts. They were penned by Celtic priests following the death of Jesus. Millennia ago, Egyptian and Celtic authors recorded prophetic warnings for the future, and the harbinger signs are now converging on these times. Nearly as big as the King James Bible, this 3,600-year-old text warns of an imminent Armageddon-like conflict, but this is not the greatest threat. Several accounts describe an object in orbit around our sun called a destroyer, which the Celtic authors, read more, called the Frightener. According to recently translated Sumerian texts, this object, also known as Nibiru or Planet X, is a 3,600-year orbit around our sun, and the Colburn Bible warns of its imminent return and of yet another biblical tribulation. Right. So I bought it. I bought it a few months ago. I just haven't had time to get to it. Right. So I was just wondering if you had played with it.
I'm going to. I literally.
There's 11 books.
It's important to. It's important to know too. Is you have the sun in the middle.
About this big and.
Oh my! Yeah, I couldn't do that.
When you have the sun in the middle, right? And then you have the planets going around it at different paces, at different. The Venus spins backwards. It's a whole thing.
Right.
Nibiru, the sun is in the middle, goes like this.
Right.
Okay. So it has an elongated top to bottom instead of a left to right spin on it. And it is coming back.
So, yeah, see, so I'd be curious to see. If you play with that one, you let us know.
I have to get
Because-
I have to get through the actual Bible first. I've done 4 of them so far.
It takes a long time to get through a Bible.
There's just
Yeah.
stuff
I've done
in
it.
here that you wouldn't find.
Well,
in
you
it.
got to understand
Is it
too
the
is that
Sumerian text and such,
what
right?
what I'm looking for too when I go through the Bible is specific keywords. So I can kind of speed read a little bit.
You can, I can't. But I know it took me over a year to go through it because I went to Catholic school, so we read it every day. It was a different time when I went to Catholic school. It wasn't like now. We went to parochial, so it was just different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we had to read it every day and discuss it with our teachers. There was time allotted, just like any lesson at the end of the day for that. So I found myself needing to read it from an adult perspective rather than grade 5.
Try reading it from this perspective now.
Well, now it's going to be very interesting because I'll hear you in my head, but I might want to borrow you a few times.
Yeah, message me.
I may be like, Micah, I'm over here. What's going on? Yeah.
Do you have my phone number yet?
No, it's okay. I'll just message you in Messenger. I wouldn't bother you on the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, but thank you for that.
No,
I hate bothering people.
I was gonna say you could text me. I talk to every single person that either follows me or reaches out to me.
That's very kind of you.
I'm still able to. I get to know them a little bit. I have no problem doing that.
That's very kind of you.
I have a YouTube channel now. If you look up Micah Dank, everybody that's listening, please go subscribe.
Yeah, and if you're on YouTube right now watching us, click like for Micah and for us.
That's right.
Find me on YouTube, Micah Dank. I just started my channel a couple months ago, and I have all my work on it.
Yeah, because they can listen to us and watch us and still scroll and look for you. So that's good for all of you that are there.
And we'll like the Micah Dank.
Yeah. Sounds good. It's hard. YouTube's a tough crowd.
Yeah.
Well, it started off as a backup account just because they are really difficult. We lost so many archives when networks, really big network or channel went down. So I'm thinking never again, because we lost over 150. Archives, yeah.
It was ridiculous.
So now what started out as, just an archive page, now we're like, screw it. Just going to get it to grow. But here's what Carrie is. Carrie, hi, Carrie. This is her input.
That's the biggie info the Vatican is hiding.
Yes. I'm going to put this up again, guys, because somebody asked in chat. So I put it in there. It's going to be under my name, Micah, right here on that's what you'll find.
The Colburn Bible, yes.
Yeah, because I had someone asking. So here we go, Tamara. Hey, Tamara.
Oh, in public school, we read Bible verses every day. This is before they took the Bible out of public. I was going to say, I don't remember ever seeing a Bible in public school.
No, never.
No. Because I went to public school first till grade 4, and then I switched to parochial right after that. But and went into high school and then ended up taking theology because I found theology to be a lot more interesting.
She says
it's history. It's different. You're not old.
But you get talking and into a lot of different things. Like I guess you're sort of taking off because you worked a lot and the same as Jordan Maxwell. I love Jordan Maxwell. I did.
Yeah, I got to know him. I got to know him really well towards the end of his towards the end of his life. In fact, he messaged me the day after he had a stroke, and he said, I just had a stroke. I'm back home. I'm very weak, but let's get together. He saw my introduction to astrotheology video. He called it sensational. We used to talk. He was just such a sweetheart, and we did a video.
Yes.
I did a video when he passed. It was very sad, but I told him I'm going to continue his legacy, just in different ways.
He was fascinating. I loved his work on symbology and like all the stuff that you're working with the Bible. When you mentioned Solomon, he didn't believe Solomon was a real person.
No, Solomon wasn't a real person.
Can you explain that? So
Solomon is a combination of 3 words, okay, for the ancients. It's sol, which is sun in Latin. Right. Om, which is Om in Buddhism. And in fact, it goes back to the Upanishads. Okay. And then you have On, which is the Greek city of light. Okay.
Right.
Heliopolis. It used to be called On. That's why still to this day, when you go into a bedroom, you have to turn the lights on to become enlightened. So it was Sol, Om, On. And it's even better than that too, because
Solomon. Yeah.
Because the Solomon's temple, okay, if you look at a blueprint from it, okay, where it's talking about the cubics and everything, it's actually a rudimentary penis going into a vagina.
I know. That's why I said, let's do it. It's true.
It's done with sex magic, yeah. Well, the Star of David is sex magic too. It's the spear and the chalice combined.
Yes. But when goes back to like goddess worship, though, doesn't it?
When you talk about when people are terrified of Baphomet, why? Why are you terrified of Baphomet? First of all, it's doing this. Okay, this is the ancient peace symbol. For people who don't see this, this is my pointer finger and my middle finger straight up.
Right.
If you separate it, you get the John Lennon peace sign. This is actually Churchill's V for victory. This is a war sign. This is the ancient peace sign. So Baphomet's doing this. And Baphomet is just a combination. It's just a bringing together of male and female energies.
It was a pagan god.
That's why it has breasts. It's a male and female. It's a joining of male and female, which is what everything is.
Yes, and again, the pagans, I think, had a better understanding of this, the ancients. And I think a lot of the ancient god type beings or names, deities, I think just sort of got bastardized going along through, more modern religion. I'll leave it there without dissing anybody. And they became demonics. The names became from these religions, what these are demons. And I think a lot of it, a lot of how we feel about a lot of that, realistically, is thanks to that. And Tamara makes a really good point. Here, Amelia, I'll put it up.
Yeah, you see portraits of Jesus doing the sign with his hand.
Absolutely, Tamara. You see the same thing. This is the peace sign.
True.
Whenever you see Buddha doing this, or you see Jesus, or you see Baphomet, this is peace. That's the ancient peace sign. It goes back to Comedicism.
It's the same description that comes up when you first read, "I give you peace in my peace." In the Catholic Mass.
If you also notice any picture, if you Google any picture of Jesus,
the priests do it too when they're saying it.
Yeah. Do any picture of Jesus. Go to Google, look up any drawing of Jesus, anything of Jesus. The sun is behind him because he represents the sun. Find one picture where the sun is not behind Jesus.
I know, and a lot of people think it's a halo. I'm like, no.
It's not. It's not. I've read a lot of Jordan stuff, and I mean, you should come on the show sometime just to talk about the symbology of everything. I think it would blow people's minds if they understood what a lot of these old symbols mean, right down to even representations of the death certificate, numerology, the death certificate, the birth certificate, the Corporation of America, the Corporation of England, like it gets really freaking crazy.
Yeah.
And I loved him for that because he just made no bones about it. He goes, no, this is what it is.
That was my favorite when he would say there, you better wake up and do your homework.
That's right. That's right.
I used to love when he said that because it was so true.
He's almost chastising you in a way. It's like, just
he's kind of done. Yeah. But the thing about Jordan too is that what blows my mind is that we have like search engines and we have computers and we have things that we can do now, correct? That we can use. But when it came to Jordan, he did all of this before the internet. He would go into libraries and read books, and he put together all his work. The problem is Jordan got old, and there's other people that are teaching it. Santos Bonacci, who I teach for. I teach for at his syncretism school. I just got a message from Bill Donahue today, who told me that he loves my work and he wishes it would get out there. But these people are older. I'm 38. I'm just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I've got it.
Yeah, Amelia's going to do a station ID and sponsor ID, and then we'll get to another comment or two. Go ahead, Bubba.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Do
You
it,
are
do it.
listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM radio. Tonight we have Micah Dank in the house for the third time. If you missed it, don't worry. It goes into archive really quickly, and you can stream or listen to our archives in the platform that you normally use, on the platform rather. Shout out and thank you to these amazing people at Folgers Coffee for fully sponsoring our show. From day one, we love you and we thank you so much. And a huge thank you to Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, for our intro and outro. He is an award-winning composer and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp, and go check him out on social media, Facebook and Instagram. He often posts clips of his music where you can get a taste of it and listen to it, and then you can purchase it. It's almost
Right.
Halloween.
Folgers commercials too, people. We'll air it.
Yes.
3 million people will listen to it every time we air it, and it'll sit in archives forever. Promote yourself. You have to have Folgers in there somehow.
We've got
do
our guests have been doing Folgers commercials now, Micah. It's just
It's true. It's
so amazing.
you want to advertise.
Yeah.
It doesn't get more like awesome than that, really.
You can advertise yourself when you're doing it.
And all you have to do is go, I'm researching.
Yeah.
I have a Folgers. Anything. Just, you
Well,
know.
I wrote my 7 books. You can purchase on blah, blah, blah. And then you just mention, just as long as you say it. You got to
Send me a Folgers mug. I'll do the next one.
Yeah, another one.
We
We'll
had to
stuck
make our
them all
own.
over the friggin' place. I
Did
know.
you really make them?
No.
Michelle bought them.
I had these made, and then our friends in the UK, Hamilton, White and Carl Cooks, are like, we'll make one, but we want these cups. Literally, like Hamilton was harassing me for it. I'm like, all right, but I found originals. I could not find vintage originals when I wanted them, but he got them. So I'm like, I better dang well get a commercial now.
He's
man.
like, yeah, I like him. I was ready to drive to Michelle's, give her this mug to send it to him, and I keep the original.
I know. They went right.
It was one
from
of those
Florida
childish
on.
things. I'm
I
still
know,
waiting for
right?
my chips, Hamilton. I know he listens to the show.
So there we go. So here we've got a comment again.
Yes, I hope I'm reading this right. Vesica Pisces, overlapping circles of me and female, or did you mean male and female? The center
female.
of which is the fish from
The
out
yoni.
of the yoni, the vagina. Okay.
Yeah, it's also the Vesica Pisces. It's also known as the Jesus fish. When you
Right.
take you take a circle and then another circle through it.
Yes.
It's a Venn diagram is what it is. It's a Venn diagram.
Yeah, I'm
middle
Pisces.
The middle part is the Vesica Pisces. In fact, John, I forget what passage in John, but basically Jesus is walking back after he was resurrected along the beach, and the disciples are in a boat and they're trying to fish and they can't catch anything. So you know they're in the water to begin with. So that's either Aquarius or Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
They can't catch anything because they're in Aquarius. He says, throw the net to the other side. Well, what's on the other side of Aquarius? It's Pisces, the fish. So he throws it to the fish, right? He brings in 153 fish. They count them, 153. Well, if you know what the Vesica Pisces is, you would know that the mathematical equation for the Vesica Pisces is 247 over 153. See, they knew this math back then. They knew this. They embedded all this kind of stuff back then. So they knew that, yeah.
Why not just be cut and dry? Like, I mean, I know it's just because it wasn't meant for everybody. But realistically...
Because you have to want it. You have to want it. You have to look for it.
Right.
Okay, the master doesn't just come out and tell you this is the truth.
Right.
You know, you have to be able to recognize it.
Right. Is it just kind of like stuff they're hiding in the Vatican? We're not just going to come out and tell you what's there.
But is it all
figure it out?
Is it all symbolism, or is it vernacular as well?
I think it's everything.
It's everything.
Yeah. I think everything just goes around full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think if 100 years from now, if they look at the Urban Dictionary, they'd all fall over too, trying to figure out what the hell they're saying.
Find codes in it. It's like, nope. It's pretty much how it is.
Yeah.
No codes hidden there. But then there probably is, right? There seems to be codes or hidden knowledge in just about everything now. Oh, hey, Guiding Echoes. Hello, Nicole.
Hi.
Hello, Nicole. Here we go. So
otherwise, it can be misused and also become, because the church would have had no power. That's a whole other show.
So let me
Yeah.
explain. Let me explain this real quick.
Okay.
During the Egyptian age, okay, that was the age of Taurus. That
Right.
was the proper age of Taurus. That was when bull sacrifices were made. You see hieroglyphs of the bull with the horns, right? And you see the sun between the horns. They're telling you they worship the sun in Taurus.
Right.
They start to fade after the age of Taurus. The Jews come up in the age of Aries. That's the ram. That's why they blow the ram's horn to the sky during the high holidays, okay? They start to fade in numbers after the age of Aries. Now the Christians come up in the age of Pisces, okay? That's the two fish. Pisces is the two fish. Just plenty of murals and mosaics of showing two fish in Pisces.
There are.
The Pope's bath.
Yep.
The papal bath in the Vatican is surrounded by the zodiac. I don't know if you know that. And then we're now in the age of Aquarius, right? So if you follow suit, then the people know at the top that Christianity and Catholicism is going to start to fade in numbers. It's going to have to, because they're in a new sign. There needs to be a new religion. We're in the age of Aquarius. That's why you see stories of the one world religion opening up in Jerusalem. Okay, that's why you see that. That's why he's talking about the third temple coming up. They're trying to merge all this stuff. And
so what will this religion? What will it be
it's the
called?
sign of the man, right? It's the sign of the man. Okay, so it's
Right.
going to be the evolution of the man, the growth of the man. It's going to be twofold. Number one, spiritually.
Yes.
And I talk about this in my first book. I mentioned this in my first book. We are the only people on Earth now, in the past, or in the future, that will have seen the sign of the change of a century, a millennia, and a zodiac sign. That will never happen again. It just doesn't. The numbers just don't work out.
You're right.
It's a very specific time that we came in to incarnate. Right now, there's a very big change of power. Humanity is going to embrace and raise. We're going to raise our consciousness, but the elites are also going to have their death rattle. Okay, so a lot of it is going to be, it's the sign of the man. It's improving the man. So a lot of it you get merging with machines. You get the technocracy that they used to do thousands and thousands of years ago. That's going to be the new religion.
Yeah.
Because how did religions spread? You'd get a book, a holy book, and then you'd pillage and attack and destroy people until they converted. You can't do that now because we have things like the internet and things like that. You could never organically grow a religion. And that's not even organic, but that's how religions grew.
Osteen's trying.
That's how the Jews spread, okay, through war.
Right.
That's how the Christians spread, okay.
Right.
That's how they all spread, okay. So you can't have that. So now it's going to be the evolution of man merging with machines, and that's going to be what it is. Now, granted, we are very young in the age of Aquarius, so we're not going to live long enough to see the Christian numbers die down. But you can see them being attacked in the news, can't you? You can see that. You can see that change in that, right? Because it's all guided. Because we are behest to the sign. Now, it's to know what sign we're definitely in. What you do is you go to the equator, okay, on March 21st on the spring equinox, and you watch the sunrise. And the sign behind the sun is the sign that we're in for 2,160 years.
Wow. So one zodiac. How long does one astrological cycle last?
It's called the great year. Okay. It's called the great year is when you go through all 12 signs. Because remember, in the zodiac, okay, you go Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer.
Right.
But when you're going through signs, it's called the precession because it actually goes backwards.
Right.
So it doesn't go this way; it goes this way. Okay?
But does it last a year? Does it last 1,000 years? Does it last
It lasts 2,160 years.
Wow, so that's a really long span.
That's each sign. So you times that by 12, you get 25,920 years. That is the total. That is the great year.
Wow.
So it hasn't happened. Like, I mean, in our
right. But I mean, you look at it, it's just through the ages, you can see where certain cultures split. But you're right, they keep going back to Taurus because I can't tell you how many times I've seen whether it's in Greek history, Egyptian history, like the bull is very prominent.
Right. They talk about it in the Epic of Gilgamesh too. That's Sumerian.
That's right.
What about the zodiac sign Ophiuchus? I'll address that real quick. So the zodiac sign
Take your
Ophiuchus
time. You got time.
is the 13th sign. Okay.
Okay.
It's the 13th sign. Now, it is in Vedic and sidereal astrology, which mean the same thing, Vedic and sidereal astrology. It's a different zodiac, okay?
Okay.
What I use to decode is what's called tropical astrology, because that's what they did at the time. That's what
Right.
99% of it was tropical astrology. If you look at Ptolemy, he wrote a book in 150 AD where he named the 48 constellations they knew. See, now we know there's 88 constellations, and we know that there was 9 or 8 planets. Back then, they knew 48 constellations, and they knew 7 planets. Okay? What Ophiuchus is it was mentioned back in the day, it was the serpent bearer. Okay? What happens with Ophiuchus, when you add it to the zodiac, it goes between Scorpio and Sagittarius. Okay? Now, each zodiac is about 30 days in sidereal, in tropical astrology.
Right.
When you add Ophiuchus to this, okay, it throws everything off. The solstices and the equinoxes don't make a perfect cross anymore. It's not perfectly sectioned into four sections anymore. Scorpio becomes 6 days long. Virgo is a month and a half long. He changes everything. In fact, your sign changes too. Okay, so all the greats that I know use tropical astrology. Okay, a few years ago, I don't know if it was like 5-10 years ago, they tried to like bring Ophiuchus in, and there was like a public decry for it, right? When everyone's like, I'm not this sign, I'm not, so that they let it go.
That's not me. I'm not a snake.
But the reason they tried to bring that in was because it brings you further away from being able to decode it the way that I do.
Okay. Because my daughter's like, I'm not a Libra. I go, yes, you are.
Yeah.
Stop it.
We're not changing it. Yeah.
She's like, I'm on Virgo. I go, no way in hell are you a Virgo. I can't. Anyways,
Right.
it's the whole Pisces thing.
Right. The people who are more susceptible, or that's probably not the right word, but the people who are probably best predetermined to understand what I teach are the human signs. So in the zodiac, you have Aquarius, the man. Okay. Then you have Gemini, the twins. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you have Virgo, the woman. Then you have Libra, the man with the scales. And then you have Sagittarius, the man on the horse.
Right.
Every other sign is an animal. Okay. So the human signs tend to be, they have a better ability to raise their consciousness faster. They have an easier time with this.
Right. The bull, however, has been worshipped repeatedly.
Yeah, you know Michelle's a
And
Taurus.
it's wrong.
You tell I'm a Taurus, however. No, so yeah, no, I do find it. I do find it really interesting. Do you think this is just really in books with scriptures, historical books, where they wanted people to, to really fight for it? Because like you say, the knowledge is there for those who want to understand it.
Before 325 AD, during the Council of Nicaea,
Yes.
Christians were known as Helionostics. That was their name.
Right.
And Helios means the sun in Greek.
Yes.
And Gnosis means knowers. They were sun knowers, sun worshippers.
Right.
Okay, they knew this. Okay.
Yes.
Constantine made everything literal Christianity. Before then, they used to worship the sun. And that goes back to Akhenaten. Akhenaten was the first person to start monotheism. It's not it's not an Abrahamic religion.
And we saw how that ended up for Akhenaten.
Yeah, and it's not an Abrahamic religion that the
it's
Jews started monotheism. That's not it at all. It happened many, many hundreds of years before with Akhenaten.
Yes.
Who told everybody to worship the sun god, and that's basically what Jesus is. He's the Piscean solar deity.
Right.
Okay, in the pictures of Jesus online, the sun is always behind his head. Even in baby pictures, when he's in the manger, the sun's behind his head.
And they think it's a halo. I know.
They think it's a halo. It's not a halo. It's the sun.
No. Yeah. No, it's true. Got another comment coming up. People, they go.
I can't even say that word, but
they tried to bring Ophiuchus in around the time Planet X Nibiru started to be talked about more, mid-90s. That's when it was? No, it had to have been later than that, because I was young in the 90s and I didn't know astrology back then. Ophiuchus tried to be brought back, I think, 5-10 years ago. But maybe they
It
did back
was-
then too, Carrie. I don't know.
It wasn't that long ago. It was definitely within the last 10
Everything
years.
Because it's a recent
resurgence
memory
now.
that I have. It's a recent memory.
It's a
everything does
recent
a
memory, and
resurgence
I'm
and
going by
cycle.
my daughter's age, being old enough to understand it.
Right. And that
Yeah.
whole thing that if your children are under 5 years old, they're on the new zodiac is nonsense. That's nonsense.
It's
Don't-
just so stupid to even think that. I'm sorry. It's
Right.
just so stupid. Honestly,
Right.
how do you do that? And
Right.
that's just crazy.
Yeah. See, that's what Nicole says also. Nicole, by the way, has a show every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern called Guiding Echoes. Check her out. So she heard about it 8 years ago. Carrie said she was studying it back then in the 90s.
Yeah.
So
Studying it when it came to mainstream are two different things. So
yeah, I think things have
Yeah.
a way of having resurgence. Like they'll come back around if
they
there's
really
some kind of
tried.
interest.
Yeah.
They really tried to push this, though. I mean, it wasn't newspapers. They were trying to change things in the charts
Right.
and
And then it was a huge pushback. Thank
horoscopes. It
God.
was just crazy.
It was a
Right.
huge pushback. Thank God.
I was
Right.
dying of laughter because
You're welcome.
I'm like,
But you do understand that, like, okay, so I've been on your show 3-4 times already. Okay, does the stuff I
Yeah,
talk
okay.
about make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
Does
Well,
it
it
make
does
sense
make
to
sense.
you?
yeah, of course it does.
Of course it
You
does.
wouldn't
Because
be
if you
asked to
add
come
a-
back.
Exactly. No
add-
freaking hell, no.
If you
No.
add Ophiuchus,
Right.
all those patterns die. All of them.
Yeah, and it's just, I think people like to hold on to their sign because first of all, you were raised to it and with it, and we were really, when I was a kid, a horoscope was a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm 53. Like a horoscope was a big deal.
Horoscopes are
actually-
big money.
You
How are you
actually
53?
big money in the books. Pardon?
I said, how are you 53?
I'm 53. I was born in 69, but thank you. I love you even more now.
I thought you were like 40, 41.
No, I wish. I stopped counting at 39
In
though.
spirit,
My
in
birthday every
spirit,
year I'm
okay.
39 in March 19. 39.
Wasn't that like a George Burns joke?
I don't know. I just that's what I do. That's all I'm saying. I'm like, I'm 39. Don't change the damn candle. Like growing up, there was so much. We were so intrigued by the horoscopes. We would grab our Toronto Sun or our Toronto Star and go through and see who we were because we were taught that's who we were rather than us understanding and trying to figure out
Think about that. That's
we
big
are.
money. That's a big industry.
It was
as
a
well.
huge industry, probably as big as the diet industry back then.
Sure.
And I mean, books were being sold on newsstands every year. The year horoscope, it was just crazy. And I look at it, and as much as I am a Pisces, there's a lot of that sign that I am not.
Well, you got to
You know,
understand
and-
too is it's your whole chart
Yes,
that makes up who you are. It's not just your sun sign. Your sun sign's just the beginning. You have
that's
your
what I
ascendant,
wanted you to explain
You have
because
your sun sign. You have your moon. You have your ascendant. Those are known as your big three. They play a big part.
There is a lot. I have a whole
Yeah.
book that was gifted to me that is all about me and my astrology. A big,
Yeah,
I
I think I put you guys in touch with my astrologer, didn't I?
Well, she's coming on the show.
yeah.
Fantastic.
We have her booked
You're gonna
shortly,
love her.
soon.
She is my astrologer. Like I don't care who uses her, but she better never leave. She's so accurate and so on point. She's actually remember the kids book? She helped me
Yes.
co-write it.
Oh, that's nice.
Right.
That's nice. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I'm glad that you said that. That's why I made mention of it because a lot of people don't realize that there's so much more to it. And I've been fortunate enough to meet people who actually study astrology and do this
Mhm.
as a way of life. And I learned so much from them when I've come in contact with them. And I'm just astounded by how much goes into it because
Well,
I said,
the best way for you to understand this, not just you understand this, but for people to understand this, is it's a language. It's not. It's literally a language. Okay, Dane Rudar says.
I like that.
Astrology is a language.
Yes.
If you understand it, the sky speaks to you, and it does.
well said. Yes.
Yes.
Well said.
No, I like it. I think. You said how many books did you say you were doing? You were
I did.
discussing?
My 7th just came out. My 8th is done, and I'm starting to put together ideas for the 9th.
And now you're bored, so you're deciphering what? The whole Bible?
The whole Bible. I've already done the first 4 books.
Wow.
Good for you.
Have you considered the Old Testament that has even more?
No, the whole thing. The Old and the
The whole
New.
thing? Oh, the first 4 books.
Yeah, he
Okay,
just
so
said
the
I
Old
did
Testament.
the 4. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm more of a fan of, I think, the Old Testament than so much the New Testament, because I feel so much was left out, and I think there was a better understanding in the Old Testament as well of.
Well, I've also done the Gnostic text. I've done like the Book of Enoch. I've done the Book
We
of
talked
Mormon.
about it on one of your visits here.
Well,
Yeah.
the Gnostic, you did the Book of Enoch for us. You did the
Yes.
Bible, but I don't think we did the Gnostics. I think we talked about
No,
doing
we
the
didn't
Gnostics.
do it because this is your third
The
time.
Book of
so-
Revelation is fun too.
Well, I think we should do them both. I do.
How busy are you?
Yeah, I find them both. I mean, the Book of Revelation, I think people right now are super interested in because of the times we live in.
Mhm.
The Gnostics.
But you have to understand too, is every religious person thinks they are in the end of days, and it's a
I know.
mistranslation because when they
I
say
know.
when they say it's the end of times or the end of days, it's a mistranslation.
Exactly.
The correct word is the end of an eon, the end of an age, and that's the
Right.
age.
Yeah.
That we're
That's right.
living
The
in.
age. That's right. I agree with you 100%, which is also another reason why I think we should do it. The Gnostics for me is just interesting because the Gnostics were, I mean, they believed in star people. They knew what was going on with astrology, so to put that in the text, I think you would really find like some fascinating stuff. People will say, well,
See, we don't
what are
take-
you? I'm a Gnostic. Go deep down, but
we
because it
take-
went on to the scenes and so on, right? Deep
we take
stuff.
for granted so much stuff, but what we don't take for granted is what they used to have. Okay, because we have so much light, and I've done the Q text actually.
What is that?
So the Q text is the original writing that the 4 Gospels derive their information from.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, it was hypothetical for a while until it was found recently in the last 100 years. I forget when.
Right.
Okay.
I've done it too, but there's bits and pieces from all 4 Gospels in it. It's basically where they derive their information from. But like I was saying, we have light pollution, we have noise pollution, we have cloud seeding, we have all this kind of stuff. The ancients used to go out at night and they would see the entire universe.
Yes.
And they would see things flying around in it. And they would be
Yes.
like, oh, that's Zeus, or oh, that's that, and he's mad and he did this.
Right.
Then what they do is they tell the kids that. And then the kids grow up and they tell the kids that. And then they grow up and then tell the kids that. And then eventually we got old enough, we got good enough to be able to write this down. And then they just became stories.
Right.
Yep. With broken telephone in between interpretations and perspectives.
For sure.
Yeah.
A lot of it's been misinterpreted. You have a lot of theologians that have come in and straightened some of it out, just by doing proper research and exploration. But there's still so much left to interpretation that needs to be straightened out, because people, they take it really literal. And I mean, I've done a lot of radio shows. I did one recently with a friend of mine, and it was very Christian. And I have all the healthiest respect for people in the belief system. I completely believe that if it makes you feel good and it makes you feel strong and makes you feel empowered and faithful, and oh my God, do it. But it was really strange because, he would say things, and when I would explain things, they just didn't know what to make of me, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, they look at you like you're an alien.
You know what? I think they saw the wood hair and was, she a witch? Just like,
that's the first place they go.
Books can be very deceiving, because I spent 20 years removing malevolent entities from people's lives that were, that had severe attachments, and they were just like, really? Honestly, Yes, yes.
Mhm.
You know, and educating people on this sort of thing. But the point I'm trying to make is they take it very, very literal, word for word. So when you have these mistranslations, and it's not right, or it's not taken in proper context, and doesn't get changed anywhere along the line, they don't update it and say, no, it is this. The only way you find out about it is if you're watching a good documentary and they're like, well, this does replace this isn't like this. People take this very, very literal, and they live their lives by it. Like, you have to be really careful what gets put out there. I mean, there are people who are open-minded, and there are some that are very, no, it is by the book, word for word.
Mhm.
And they know it. They know that Bible word for word, the whole thing, because I know, like, really diehard Christian people. They're wonderful people, and they will recite that thing to you, page to page, cover to cover.
So do ex-cons. Just saying.
Shh, my boss.
No, I'm just saying they find God in prison and they can
It's true.
recite. I mean it in a
No,
good
it's
way,
true.
not in a
It's
bad
true.
way. I know
No,
it
no,
came
it's
out
true.
because, I'm Pisces, so that's how I talk. But it
No,
just,
but it's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
they find God. I mean, like Dog the Bounty Hunter. I mean, he's constantly reciting scripture and can pull anything out of the Bible. And I'm just like amazed when he talks. But yeah,
I just think
I
that's why it's important that even in your research, that when you are interpreting these things, I imagine you have to be very, very careful, because people will take you very literal.
Mhm. I do get I don't get as much hate as you think I would, to be honest with you.
we probably get more than you do.
No, I really don't. I
Just for the
really
comments
don't.
I just
I really
made.
don't get much hate. I get a lot of people saying that it's freed them, it's helped them.
Right.
I think
it's
people are more open now to
Yeah.
understanding, and more open to. We're
Yeah.
in a different time,
It's a
and
form of evolution.
yeah. And as much as I have a love-hate relationship with the Catholic Church. I am Roman Catholic, but uh, you know, we are so much more advanced than the churches.
Mm.
Mhm.
Church is still stuck back in time. If they could
Right.
come to this age, the problem is, like you said, they probably wouldn't exist.
Mm. This is a good comment.
Yeah, there are so many people who use the Bible to manipulate others too.
Mm.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, Nicole, when I first opened up to people in my life about my gifts, I lost a lot of friends who are
I have
devout
two.
Catholics.
I lost my best
Yeah.
friend for
Yeah.
30 years.
Oh.
He was a born again Christian, best friend for 30 years. I've known him since I
Oh.
was 9. I was the best man at his wedding. He can't even talk to me anymore because of what I talk
No.
about, what I teach. He thinks that I'm possessed. He thinks that I have demons.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, I have lost a lot of people, but I'm living my truth, and I have to continue doing what I'm doing.
But it's evolution.
Yeah.
Awakening.
Well, that's why we're becoming more of a, what's the word? Like a secular nation, because it's the age of Aquarius, the age of Pisces. They know at the top. You telling me that I'm just some dude from Long Island and I figured out something that nobody at the top knows in the Catholic Church?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they know. They have to know. Whether it's the Jesuits or the Catholic Church, the Pope, whatever, at the top, they have to, those cardinals, they have to know the truth.
Well, the top of every organized religion. Yeah.
They do
Right.
know.
Yeah.
But hey, I like it. Exactly, Nicole. Exactly. We're all finding our new tribe. Yeah. You guys are my tribe. I love it. Exactly. We'll throw some aliens in there too, for good measure.
No, let's not.
Come on now. Come on.
It's not,
now.
I don't believe. I just,
But
that's okay.
we are at the top of the hour, though. So
Wow.
I think we're already there. But it was really great having you on, Micah. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're
Thank you so much.
welcome.
Always a pleasure.
It is.
And tell your
It
wife,
is.
thank you for letting us have you for 2 hours.
Exactly. And I will email you. I will email you with all the stats and everything else as
Book
they
your number
roll in
4.
within the next hour. And maybe we
Sounds
can do
good.
this again sometime. was jamming
Yeah.
there
Well,
somewhere.
what would you like to do? You want to do Revelation?
I like Revelation. I like the Gnostic texts.
Looks like you're going to be on 5 times.
Yeah, I know. I
You got 2 more coming.
just email me. Let's let's pick one, and because it takes about an hour, so we need to fill up another hour as well, right?
Put that kid's book name back out again, Micah, please. Carrie's asking.
Yeah, it's called A is for Aries. If you want to reach out to me on social media, everybody listening, I'm on Twitter at real Mr. Dank, spell out Mr. I'm Micah Dank on Facebook and Instagram. Just reach out to me if you want to get signed copies of the book series. You can reach out to me if you want signed copies of the kids' book. You can reach out to me.
Oh, that's nice. It's always best to support the author. That's how I feel anyways. Go direct. Well. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Awesomeness. Well, thank you again, and I will be in touch, and let's pick one. Let's play around, and we'll set another date.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me on, ladies. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Well, that was really informative. I always find it, I love astrology, so I find that super, super interesting, but it did fly by. So unfortunately, we are at the end of another segment, and literally we're at the top of the hour. So big thank you to Micah for joining us again and enlightening us with his research. Big thank you to Folgers Coffee for sponsoring tonight's show. Big thank you to Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon. If you want to contact us, please, because I know I said this last night and I'm getting inbox on Messenger. One place, the outer realm contact at gmail.com. The outer realm contact at gmail.com.
Yeah, I don't respond to Messenger either.
No, I had too many messages. I just have too many. Sorry. If you dig what you see, no matter which platform you're on, like us up, follow us, subscribe. The Outer Realm does have its own Facebook page, group page, you name it. It's got YouTube. Just show us some love. And don't forget those Folgers commercial. I'm really going to be a harpy about that. And we only have a few days left also for the Podcast Awards. So please go to podcastawards.com, find the Outer Realm under Best Female Hosted Podcast. And I think we're under the Adam Curry category as well. Wednesday night's still a mystery. We're going to have a Q&A, but we just gave you one, so we got to bump it. And I promise you we will have somebody like amazing coming up. And Thursday brings the return of Philip Mantle. And all the way, he's a go-to person in the UK. He's got all kinds of books. He's also a publisher, and he's got a lot of really, great people under his label. But he's going to be coming on and discussing ET messages, right? Mm-hmm. And ET messages. Now, tomorrow night, 8 until 10 Eastern is the Church of Mavis. Check them out. And at 10, The Centralist with Joe Montaldo. Really political. You guys like political stuff. It's really neutral political, and it's all current world events. And Joe Montaldo always has a really good panel of people. So check him out. In the meantime, I'm going to leave you with this. Bear with me, please.
It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. There are 5 shows I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards, the longest-running premier awards event in the podcasting space, open to shows worldwide. Vote at podcastawards.com to nominate the following shows. Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. This show is based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard and provides advice and tips from contest judges, international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest winners, and industry professionals for writers and illustrators wanting to take their next step, along with needed inspiration to keep going. The next one is The Centralist in the category of politics and news. The Centralist is a much different news and political program which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as Joe Montaldo brings you just the facts from trusted sources, which will allow you, the people, to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. The next one is UFO Undercover in the category of entertainment. This show brings you some of the most revealing and current research that is being done with respect to alien abductions and contact. Host Joe Montaldo has been an abduction researcher for over 35 years and is uniquely qualified to bring you live interviews with some of the most well-known researchers in ufology. The next one is The Outer Realm in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a very popular show hosted by Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, which has millions of listeners each week. They are well known for their laid-back, roundtable style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best, with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, cryptozoology, folklore, and anything else that would be deemed outside the realm of normal. The next one is Chasing Prophecy in the category of Society and Cultures. Take a ride down the rabbit hole with Jenny Nicasio, Sean Kelly, and Jason Iampietro, where each episode brings a roundtable approach to conversations about supernatural phenomena, hidden secret societies, underground bunkers, magical conspiracies, the paranormal, cryptic creatures, aliens, ghosts, legends, and myths from around the world. Chasing Prophecy dives into topics that entice the imagination and seduce the mind, some of which are taboo. So go to podcastawards.com to vote for these 5 shows and any others you enjoy listening to. That's podcastawards.com. Take a moment and go out and vote.
Well, guys, have a fantastic weekend. Good night.